Welcome to Incredible Idaho. I'm Jack Hemingway. You know, these first warm days of spring seem like a long ways from hunting season, but believe me, that's no excuse for not working your dog. All over the state, retriever clubs are shaking the winter doldrums with picnic trials, field competitions designed to get both dog and handler back into shape.
Come on, Robbie, heel. Come on. Well, it's a great way to get the dogs doing what they love to do year-round.
Robbie is a 1.5-year-old Chesapeake. Today's first level is the qualifying stake, a test designed for young dogs not quite ready for the more advanced open stake.
Set.
A bird is thrown up in 2 different areas, and the dog is expected to mark them both. At the sound of the gun, Robbie can barely contain his excitement and begins to creep towards the first bird before handler Diane Maisie gives the signal. She releases the dog by saying his name, and he's off like a shot.
Robbie.
So we're watching for trainability and marking ability when they mark the fall, the area of the bird.
You've got to have the natural ability. That's the first thing you look for, and you try and seek out a puppy that you hope will have that ability, and you try and see it develop as that puppy grows. Heel, set, drop. Good.
This is just one of a series of picnic trials the Idaho Retriever Club hosts each spring. Later in the season, the competitions will begin to get more serious, with American Kennel Club license hunt tests and field trials. But this windy March day is more like a family get-together where owners and dogs can dust off training skills that may have dulled over the winter.
Gets the dogs going in the spring and lets us kind of see where the dogs are at, what we need to work on. A lot of the people that come out here to the picnic trials don't necessarily go to the licensed field trials, but they like the opportunity to work their dogs.
The next test is called a blind retrieve. Birds are hidden away from the dogs behind some natural cover.
The way the dog is going to go to the bird is it's going to believe that the handler knows where the bird is. And the dog will sit on the whistle and take the hand signals that the handler gives. Hopefully. And the handler is half the team. You know, and the field trials are won and lost on the line by the handler. And when you train your dog, you get to know your dog, and then you handle your dog and you help your dog. That's very important. Stay with him, buddy. You got time. This is a very young dog to do this caliber of work. Got the birds. It's not hard. It takes a lot of time to train a dog. It takes a lot of time, a lot of dedication. From the time they're baby puppies, we teach them to run from the tip of their tail to the tip of the nose. We teach them to go straight so they can run blind retrieves.
Among the spectators on the sidelines are puppies, not a bit camera shy, who are too small to compete. Their owners bring them along to field trials so the young puppies will become accustomed to the sights and sounds of competition. This little guy's official name is Snake River's Warp Speed, but he answers to Pokey. Today he turns 6 months old and will get a taste of competition in the club's puppy stakes. The test is a simple, single retrieve designed to get young puppies started and give the handlers a chance to gauge the puppy's natural talent.
This is the world famous Pokey. Sit.
Pokey doesn't hesitate, seeming to run straight and true until suddenly he veers wide to the left. But what he lacks in direction, he makes up in perseverance and eventually follows his nose back on course. He lopes back to the line, bringing in his trophy to enthusiastic praise.
Attaboy, Poke. Okay. Attaboy. Good dog. Well, he did good for a puppy. He did really fine. He showed I guess the word is some tenacity, in his marking ability, and when he didn't come right up with the right-hand bird, he hunted it out.
Perhaps after a year's experience at field trials, Pokey will become a proud derby dog like Robbie. In a dubious show of dignity, the older dog struggles to contain his eagerness as he waits for his turn in the next event.
Sit. Are you excited? Huh? Yeah, they know when they're going up, they're ready to run, they get all fired up. That's important, try and kind of keep them calmed down, before you go up there. So they have their wits about them.
Robbie's last derby test is called a single mark retrieve. The dog is judged on his route to and from the bird.
You got to be real focused on your dog. It helps the dog. I have a little talk with my dog before I walk up to the line and say, now you can do this. And I've got to be thinking the same thing, because if your dog's tuned into you, they pick up your energy and your mood. And if you're confident they can do the test, they're a lot more apt to do it, I feel.
Diane Maisie has reason to be proud of her young Chesapeake. Robbie came away with a first in the Derby and took second in the qualifying stake. A fine performance and a reason to shed a little of that hard-earned dignity.
The reward really is doing the work. But you want to give them a lot of praise. They do definitely respond to that. And I always want to teach your dog not to jump on you. It's very important. Sit. And behave yourself.
Here on the walls of my cabin home lodges a lifetime of memories. Golden autumn days, good companions, and lots of memorable hunts. I'll give you an example. See this pair of huns up here? They bring back a vivid memory of a birthday hunt years ago when there was a population explosion in the Hungarian partridges. And my dog, whose name happens to be Partridge, kept pointing one covey after another and then single after single. And even though I was shooting badly, for the first time in my life, I shot a limit of Hungarian partridge. Since ancient time, when primitive man first etched the likeness of a beast on a stone wall, the hunter has paid tribute to the animals he's hunted. It's a custom born of respect, honor for fair chase, an acknowledgement of the animal's spirit and power, and an appreciation for the nourishment that the beast provided to the hunter and family. Today's hunters still follow this tradition of respect. The animal pursued, whether bird, fish, or big game, is often preserved as a mount, gracing the walls of the modern hunter's home and honoring the memory of a worthy adversary and an unforgettable hunt.
It's not so much being the biggest animal or the smallest animal, but it's just remembering having a trophy that they've taken that might have been the only one in their whole lifetime, or it might have been something just to remember a great hunt, with their dad or whatever. And that's part of it, we got to live for dreams and things like that, and that kind of brings back good memories, and that's probably why a lot of people mount them, just because of that.
Taxidermist Tom Schermeyer has been transforming hunting memories into mounted trophies since he was 10 years old. He's one of those rare people who has actually been able to turn a much-loved hobby into a successful business.
Yeah, it's an art. There's no getting around it. We take hide and horns and try to make it look like what it should look like, so it has a sparkle in its eye or the nose is right, and it takes a lot of time in doing that. So it does take a little bit of an art.
Tom's studio is a clutter of plastic forms, antlers, skins, and fascinating animal mounts, ranging from the game birds and elk of Idaho to a full-length Alaskan grizzly bear. But each trophy began the same way, with a hunter in the field carefully removing the cape of an animal he or she wants to preserve.
We've got a cape for an antelope right here, and you can see how it was cut right there behind the ears, and there's a Y where the horns come out, and then it's just totally tubed right on out to the front. And there's his nose and his eyes.
The cape is sent to a tannery and made into leather. Then Tom soaks the tanned hide in water to soften it and make it pliable.
And the next step is we take the animal and we'll slide it on. And everywhere that you cut it out in the field, it's all sewed back up the same way.
He uses a surgeon's needle, making neat stitches every quarter inch, tugging and smoothing the hide so it fits snugly over the form.
Just like it doesn't have to be the biggest in the world, as long as it's, it means something to you. We mount a lot of small heads just as well as we mount a lot of large trophy-type heads. But it brings back a good memory when you sit back in the den on a winter day and you can look up and see that deer or antelope or elk or whatever, and you can remember the good time you had with your friends, and can't wait for the hunt for the next year. So it's a lot of fun.
Tom says it's important that the hunter cut the cape at least 12 inches behind the front legs to ensure enough hide for a full shoulder mount. This is stapled to the form, and the excess is cut away. But nothing goes to waste. Antelope hair makes excellent fly tying material.
I'm going to put some clay back into here where I cut the lips open so I can tuck them in there.
The best taxidermists spend long hours in the field, studying wildlife in its natural habitat and analyzing how an animal moves. This knowledge becomes the basis for a craft that has become an art, constantly evolving.
Then we'll grab us a glass eye to put in it. There's all different types of eyes for elk, caribou, mountain lions, deer, and these are the eyes that we're going to use for the antelope.
Potter's clay is an important tool for the final touches. It's used to mold the standard form to fit an individual hide. Even within the same species, animals' facial features can vary, especially around the eyes.
That's the most important part on an animal, is the people that look at a mount or whatever, the first thing they'll do is go up and look at the eyes, and the head. If the eyes are wrong, the whole mount totally is wrong. And that's the key to it, is making the eyes look right.
The last touch is a bit of paint around the eyes, mouth, and horns. Then finally, the finished product, a beautiful trophy and a fitting tribute to a memorable hunt.
We comb out the hair, we finish up around the eyes. We do
Head mounts and game birds are the bread and butter of the business. But in the last few years, Tom has expanded his skills into an exciting new area.
Yeah, this is just like part of the history of the West, really, and that's what we wanted to do, something different. Nobody else has done something like that that we know of outside a museum.
It all started when Tom acquired a buffalo cape. Instead of the customary mount of a standing bison, he spent long hours recutting the mold so the buffalo is charging at full gallop. The model of a Sioux Indian astride an authentic Mustang pony wildly pursuing the huge beast completes the picture.
The buffalo pony, they always put a rope around its neck. They never did ride it with a halter or a bridle type thing. They always wrapped it around its neck and it trailed behind, because in the buffalo hunt, in case he fell off, he would have a chance of grabbing a hold of the rope and stopping his pony.
Tom spent countless hours on this scene, 18 hours alone just sewing on the buffalo. But it didn't discourage him from taking on another challenge.
And we took a regular-sized horse, and we thought we'd try to portray a mountain man coming down a trail. All of a sudden, he encounters a grizzly on a dead kill, and the horse is just starting to explode. And then within 5 minutes, he's going to be off.
Old Bear Claw Gus is about to get the ride of his life. He's dressed in coyote skins and a badger fur hat. Each detail thoroughly researched to complete a historical mount frozen in time.
It was another one of them fun projects, trying to see if you can do something different that nobody else has done. And also, it's just a piece of history of the West, you know, just like the buffalo and the Indian, trying to recreate a little bit of the West like it was.
All around the studio, miniature dramas are played out. Each piece a story in itself, capturing the encounters between man and beast or predator and prey. Two wolves chase a caribou across the tundra, fangs bared and bodies extended in a final leap to reach the throat of their prey. A coyote suffers an unpleasant surprise when he meets up with a crusty porcupine. And a bobcat stretches skyward, reaching for a pair of grouse as they flush a moment too late from their sparse cover. And still in the making, a mountain lion springing gracefully through the air, his powerful body arching toward his prey the moment before the kill. It's the wildlife world, magically captured in still life by a master craftsman and artist.
And that's what keeps you going in this taxidermy, is doing something different, something maybe somebody hasn't ever done before, and trying to see if you can do it, and it keeps challenging yourself. And that's what's a lot of fun for me.
There's something about the first few days of warm weather that makes the idea of going fishing almost irresistible. But most trout streams are closed for spawning season, so most of us anglers have to settle for a little pan fishing in lakes and ponds. Well, after a week of sunshiny days and 60-degree weather, a couple of our fisheries biologists could not resist any longer. Spring fishing fever had struck, and there was nothing that was going to stop them from going fishing the next day. Well, it could have been the deluge of rain, or maybe it was that bitterly cold wind blasting from the north, recarving the Bruneau sand dunes into new patterns. Then again, perhaps it was the fact that the temperature had plummeted from yesterday's balmy 70 degrees to today's 45. But most likely, it was because it was April 1st, April Fool's Day. Only a pair of stubborn fools or a couple of fishery biologists would spend a whole day in the rain and wind with little or no success at catching fish.
It's not letting up, is it?
The original idea was sound. We'll go out to Sand Dunes Lake in the Bruneau Dunes State Park and show folks what a great time can be had catching coolers full of bluegills.
Well, in the spring, when you got fishing fever and whatnot, it's really the best time of year to catch panfish. And yesterday would have been a perfect day. It was sunny and near 70 degrees.
A panfish is a smaller fish that fits easily into a pan, such as bluegills, crappie, and perch. The best bet for fishing success is to use small bait, light tackle, and of course, to do your fishing on warm, sunny spring days.
It's very challenging. I guess that's what it boils down to. I feel challenged by it and trying to figure out where the fish are, how to catch them, what bait and whatnot, and I just get great satisfaction in figuring out the puzzle.
Not only are they a good excuse to get out of the office, but these small fish are excellent eating, generally abundant and easy to catch. Well, to repeat, the original idea was sound.
The old saying is the best day to go fishing is whenever you can go, but there are exceptions. If you had to pick them, this wouldn't be the day.
It wasn't only the two fishermen who were having problems with the rain. When angler Virgil Moore did manage to catch a small bass, numb fingers, floppy rain gear, and a wet lens made focusing the camera a bit of a problem. But finally, when things were really beginning to look grim, Al Van Voren got another bite.
Yeah, there's something on there. Not a bluegill. No, I see it's not a bluegill, it's a bass here.
Keep him right there for a minute. I gotta get another cutaway here. I just can't see it as a viewfinder.
It's called condensation on the lens. Actually, by this time, the rain had begun to let up a bit, and the warmer temperatures were steaming up the drops trapped between glass filters on the camera lens.
There's a little tiny hook and a little tiny bobber. That way you can catch the bluegill and you still got a chance to catch the bass.
Well, that lousy video was the last straw for Incredible Idaho photographer Tom Hadzer. All pretense of shooting a fishing story was abandoned, along with a camera. Fly rod in hand, he too began casting for panfish. I guess he figured if he couldn't get a good story on tape, he might as well go fishing. After all, there's nothing like fishing to help you forget your problems.
Yeah, April Fools. We said we'd go to Bruneau Dunes and catch bluegills on a sunny day.
Well, our bad luck with the weather continued, but the rain and the wet did not dampen the spirits of a group of volunteers who spent the day cold and miserable working for wildlife.
Okay, Kelly, do you have your crew?
The fallout from the Boise foothills fire is not over.
Leaders, where the heck are you?
As the snow retreats, it reveals a scarred landscape with very few of the browse plants that deer and elk depend on for winter food. But groups of volunteers are attacking the barren slopes with shovels and native shrubs, beginning the process of rebuilding the habitat for Idaho's wild animals.
The shrubs are essential for not only for wildlife to provide habitat for food and nesting habitat and a place for animals and birds to escape from predators, and also to provide shelter from the elements. But also they provide for soil stabilization, and of course the fire like this burned off as much as it did. We're talking about some serious erosion problems.
Some individuals have come out week after week to work. On this rainy Saturday, they've been joined by a group of volunteers from Boise Cascade and Boy Scout Troop 58 out of Mountain Home.
We're out here basically to improve the habitat for the animals that live out here.
This is just a small portion of the 250,000 acres of land burned last summer, but it's a beginning and a task that would be impossible without the generosity of these volunteers. folks that are willing to give of their time and talents for Idaho's wildlife.
Take it like this. See where the roots end?